Welcome back to the build, you beautiful people. This is the part 1 electrics that will explain where the wiring is getting ran and stuff. And we'll explain what appliances we're going to have in our van and where they are going to be situated. So yeah, this is part 1 of the electrics. Part 2 will be coming down the line somewhere when the second fix will be getting done. So this is as far as I've got so far. I'm not going to be getting a great deal of work done over the Christmas period. It is very Christmassy around here. There's Santa and Rudolph. So you know it's Christmas as well, because as you guys will know, you just start to find random bits of glitter and stuff down every crevice of every couch and all over the floors and stuff. And I'll show you here, look. Jen's got her Christmas cards out on the bench. She writes a Christmas card to everybody, including the neighbours, goldfishes, dogs, grandma. That's a thing. But getting to that time of year, not a lot getting done. We've actually I've sawned the van at the moment, so it's on the drive sitting. Get myself a little run around. And bit off topic, but check this out. Jen is getting absolutely spoiled this year. Couldn't fit all of our presents under the tree. Look at that. Special toy plane wrapping paper. Look at that. Precision wrapping, sports fans. And that's it. That's all she's getting. And no, that isn't because I'm a tight ass. That's because we've only decided to spend a small amount on each of this year. We're saving everything we can for next summer. Can't wait. Looking into ski resorts now. And yeah, we're going to be living in our van as close to a ski resort as we can and see how we fare. There's a lot to think about. Obviously snowfall being one of them, and that's sitting on top of the van, and warmth. That's why I'm trying to make this build as comfortable as possible, because it's going to be our residence for best part of a year. So anyway, dragging on a little bit, but thanks for tuning into this video and stuff, and like and subscribe and do all the things that you like to do and all that stuff and something another, and yeah, check this out and I'll see you later and stuff. Bye. Welcome back to the build, peeps. This is the video for First Fix Electrics. As you can see, it's a rather wet day here in the sunny northeast, but doesn't stop productivity. As this morning, got this laid. But in all seriousness, it has really transformed the back. You can see, as you can see here, been busy neatening up the side and created a board yesterday, which was a bit more of a chew on than I expected, just to situate all of our electrics and stuff on. So we have the main switchboard here, we've got the solar next to it, the inverter hasn't come yet, but that'll be getting put on to the right hand side there, and a few other bits and bobs like the Wi-Fi and stuff like that will be going there. But I'll get straight into it. Start with the box here at the back. So we've got the main circuit break box. All of the wiring comes in from the rear, and I'll show you where that runs at the moment. We've got the mains hook up there, which is now installed. If I show you that on the outside, look at that bad boy. So
The 230 hookup runs into the circuit box here, and from here we have the 230 feed which runs up here. Basically that's the side of the recesses from previous videos. There'll be a bit of ply going across here to conceal all of these cables, and I'll galvy band them in so they're not rattling about. And from this area we've got the 230 in the corrugated plastic to separate it from the 12 volt feeds, and that runs up until the midway point of the van. It then splits out of the corrugated plastic, runs across the roof here, just zip tied it into some holes that were already there, down here. Now this is what I'll be doing to all of the holes that I've drilled in the van, is just a bit of stripped wire and some silicone in there just to stop them from rattling about. And that'll be where there will be a 230 socket for us to charge laptops, etc. It then loops back on itself, comes back across and runs down to the front. Oh yeah. Once it gets to the front, runs down the back here. This will all be getting covered in. As you can see, I've built the bulkhead in now, so the back is to go onto there. That'll be coming in a video soon. The 230 runs down the back of here, through into the cavity of the bulkhead, down. There'll be a loop there, that's for a 230 volt socket to go on the corner here. So the kitchen units will be along there. There'll be a 230 socket here, then runs down and across, and that is where the circuit ends. In the corner here, that's where the boiler is going to be situated. So that's it for the 230. Whoa. Next, lights. So quite a few lights in here. Basically they're all 12 volt lights, so they run from the 12 volt cable here at the back. There will be a 12 volt switchboard that will be getting put on this DIN rail here, so they run through the back, same place, up the side here, and we have two that run up through the back, through this hole here. One of the feeds then runs down the back of this pillar, and I'll show you an extended video, comes through here and out here. So we're going to have some down lights for when we in the boot area on a night time, and there's also one that comes right over the top, down and out of that door there. So that's one of the lights, or the pair of lights. The rest of them run up and over. So this is the route for the lights themselves and the switching. So the main switchboard is this 1.5 12 volt cable here. So it runs over the top, down here, and this is where it's going to be situated here beside the bed. So there'll be a panel here which will have a light switch for the front two lights, the rear lights. The rear lights will be on a dimmer switch so we can dim them on a night time, and there'll also be a kill switch on here so we can turn all the lights off at the same time. And yeah, basically the lights are all in sequence. So there's one of the lights which will attach to this light, which is that basically just runs round the side there, and these two lights are in sequence. So that's one of them, and that's the second one, which is the loop there. What other lights have we got? So we've got a light that runs straight from the back panel up over the top along here, and then I've just put that on a loop here because that's going to be a 12 volt searchlight, so that'll be getting bolted into the chassis there. LED spotlight that'll shine down if we're sitting outside or anything like that, or need light on the outside of the van. And then that is looped off and comes down through the back of the bulkhead to this feed here, which will come out and sit underneath the kitchen units. The head units that are going to be getting built on the top of the bulkhead here. So basically the idea is I'm going to put sliding doors in this cupboard at the back, and then on an angle line I'm going to sit some head units that will give us extra storage for plates, etc. And then once the front kitchen doors open, you can reach into the back, slide this door, and then there's extra storage out the back there. Bit of a secret spot for us to store laptops and stuff like that, because when we've been watching other people's videos, I've basically seen quite a few vans that have been broken into and stuff, so that place behind the kitchen units might be somewhere where we can store our electric goods and stuff like that. Maybe put a little lock or something on there. So what's next? The TV. So the TV, we have, I'll start from the TV and actually, so we've got the recess, which I showed you in a previous video. We have where the TV is going to be sitting in the recess, so basically getting a flush mounted bracket, and these are the feeds. So why this red cable is different is because this was the cable that came with the TV, and the other end of the cable actually had a 12 volt lighter socket plug on it, which I've chopped off, and that'll just get spliced into the 12 volt switchboard. There is an aux cable. The aux cable runs to here, which is basically where in these head units here I'm going to have some speakers and a head unit. So the aux cable will go into the back of the head unit, and then the head unit will feed a speaker here and a speaker in these head units at the top here. So essentially the TV will have a surround sound system. We've got the satellite wire, which runs up over the top here, through the chassis, and up out of this cable gland at the top. So let's see if I can get a shot of that for you. Out of our swanky new roof light. So you can see that knee box is the TV antenna, and beside it is the cable gland for the solar. Speaking of solar, I'll show you that now. So that comes down, the solar comes down from the cable gland. I've put some corrugated plastic in underneath here. I'll show you that in an extended video also. So that comes down, comes through here. I've kept this in the corrugated sheeting because I haven't got the panels on the roof yet, and I don't know if I'm going to need to pull some of this slack back up onto the roof. So I don't want extra slack on the roof, but I haven't got the panels yet because they're not in stock, the ones that I actually want. So I put it in this sheeting so I can either pull some up onto the roof or pull the slack back down. So we've got, that comes down, runs through the back there, down there, through this little hole down here, and that will go into the positive and negative for the solar panel here. I've got the comms cable that just plugs into, find it, not like me to struggle finding the hole. Yeah, that just plugs into the bottom of the solar panel, solar controller, and that runs up from the controller out the back and comes out here. And once these are over to one side, this area here is where the MT50 solar display will be situated, so we can keep an eye on what power is being drained from the battery, what state the battery's in, what amperage and voltage the solar power panels are drawn down. So that'll be one of the displays. What else have we got? So we've got, over the other side here, we've got a 12 volt pump. So the pump will be sat here. I haven't actually showed you yet, but underneath the van there is a 70 litre fresh water tank. So the feed will come up to the pump, which will be powered by this 12 volt cable, and then the cold water feed will run up to the boiler in the corner there, and then the hot will be pumped from the boiler to the kitchen tap and the shower. We've got another cable that comes down, which is basically a loop for a USB socket to go in there. As you can see, I've busted the corner here trying to drill a hole in. I managed to do it quite nicely at this side, but I'll fix that easy enough because there's actually some cladding going to be going on here, so I'll get that fixed up when I come round to fitting the USB. So that loop will go in there, and then that will go along the bottom and into here. So this cable here just runs along the back. Let's come along the back here out, and then that'll be the speaker to speaker cable. We have another black cable that runs down here along the back through this little hole here, and that will be a 12-volt fan which will be permanently situated here. It's a oscillating fan, so our pillows are going to be here, so we'll have a fan for if we are hot anywhere. We've got the feeds for the 12-volt reading lights. Them are on just a loop, so the first cable comes in there and then loops over to here. And I think one last thing is this bit of corro here runs down the back. This is the spare, which will run along the floor here behind the shower tray, and that'll run to the boiler, and that is just gonna be there for when I do eventually get the boiler. I'll have some corro to pull a comms cable which comes with the boiler, so the comms cable will run from the boiler along the back here up and out of the hole that I've cut in the ply front, and that will seat the control panel for our boiler, so we can, when we're in bed, we're not getting up and reaching over and sorting the temperature out. It's all going to be to hand. Apart from that, I've got the 12-volt max air fan that's already linked up. That just runs straight along there to the back and down to the 12-volt switchboard and the extractor, which will be powered from the same feed as the light, so when the light comes on, the extractor comes on. And what else? Oh, I do believe I've just drawn a blank. Oh, we have basically the light from the bathroom, which will be sat around about here or here in the middle of the bathroom. That runs to these two hanging cables here, which are, one of them's looped in, which you can see there, and that's looped out, and that will be sat in the stud wall, which will be getting built in here. So the bathroom's going to be around this area. So them are going to be in the stud wall, and on this other side we have switches which correspond to the ones over next to the bed. So these are going to be run down and going to be on the side of some tall wardrobes that I'm going to build in this area. So I'm going to build them off that side there, likely going to be there. So when we come in the van, we've got some switches and can turn the lights straight on, or if we exit in the van, we can turn them off. But I think that's about it. Finally getting something in the van that is making it look a bit more homely. I'm terrible at getting this shot in. You better go above like that. You better go below like that. Still getting used to this video taking stuff, but yeah, look at that. It's all starting to look awesome. As I mentioned earlier, I will be putting one up for the bulkhead build. Have a look at that. That's the back of it. I'm actually very happy with how it's turned out. Come in the front, all the back's carpeted, nice and neat up the seams. That's a shelf unit at the back. So yeah, one thing I didn't mention, the positive and negatives that come from that box at the back, they run along the top like everything else, and they run down this corner, down here, through the back of the bulkhead, and then through the back there, through this hole where the seating is, and through underneath, and that's the ends there. Then just need I've just ordered a crimper there. I haven't got a crimper that's big enough for the spaded ends, and then they'll be attached up to the starter battery. So first you want to strip the wires for the ends of the cables, put the crimp lug on there, and then you bought myself one of these hydraulic crimping tools. So you want to put the size of the crimp lug in there, which is a 16 by 8 in this case, and then the wheel that I've just showed you there, you want to turn that until it's tight so the hydraulic arm actually works. Crimp that on there, and then I'll just put a bit of heat shrink tubing over and shrink that on with my blowtorch there. I'll show you the positions that I've attached the positives and negatives to the batteries shortly, and that's basically it for this bit. That's the negative cable done there. So that is where the positive cable is attached to on the Mercedes Sprinter battery, starter battery, and this is the nut that the negative was attached to. This is the inline fuse for the volt sensitive relay. So this is where it was attached from the starter battery underneath the passenger seats, and that was just drilled into the sheet metal with some self-tapping screws. So this is the diagram that comes with the kit, and this is the relay. So you've got the diagram as I've just shown you there. We've connected the positive and the negative up at the front. This is just for the relay itself. So from the positive, you've got the fuse, which I've just showed you where I've installed that into the front passenger seats. Then we're going to have the relay. I'm going to seat this in the fuse box on this DIN rail here. This black wire is going to come out the side of the box and is going to be located on an earthing point, which is going to be on the chassis here. There'll also the negative cable from the aux batteries, which are going to be sat in the garage area here. That's going to be earthed off here as well. So you've got the fuse, which I've just showed you under the passenger seats, the relay, then there's going to be another fuse which is going to be also seated in this box here, and then from the fuse that goes to the aux battery. And like I've just said, you've got your earth from negative of your auxiliary battery as well. So this is the relay. Basically how it works, you've got, when the engine gets switched on and the voltage goes above 13.3 volts, then this will flip and your auxiliary batteries will be then getting charged off your alternator. When your engine's switched off and the voltage drops below 12.65 volts, then this will switch off and it will no longer be charging via the alternator. So I'll show you the relay itself on the back. Basically the end that comes from your starter battery, which is at the front of the van, is going to come in and crimp onto this nut here, and then another bit of red wire, positive wire, which is supplied with the kit, will be crimped onto this end and will come out, and then that will go into a fuse, which I've just showed you how it will be installed at the front, and then from the fuse that'll go to your auxiliary batteries, and that's how your auxiliary batteries will be, your leisure batteries will be charged by the alternator. So let's get this in the box. Yeah boy! That's pretty much it for the wiring part 1. of the electrics. This is the positive cable that comes from the starter battery, volt sensitive relay, and then another little small length of cable which is crimped onto this inline fuse, which is the same as the one that was installed under the passenger seat at the front. Then some positive cable will come and clamp into the fuse, will come out the bottom of the junction box, back into the junction box and into this earthen block, which then the positive cable is then ran to the batteries. So that's how the batteries will be charged by the alternator. As you can see, there's been other work going on. I've got the Wi-Fi video to come and the 12 volts switchboard, and all the other wiring will be explained in the wiring part 2. So that is where the batteries are going to be situated there. These batteries are 220 amp hours a piece and they do weigh 60 kilograms. So the initial idea was to have them both at one side, but to distribute the weight a little bit better, I have decided to split them up. So just to finish up, just a quick video on how I got the wiring through for the rear doors. I want to use a screwdriver and remove this plastic grommet. Then you're likely to need a cable threader like this one. You want to disconnect this wiring from the 2 blocks here. Make sure a block doesn't fall inside the cavity. Then you want to thread in the direction that you're going to pull the wire. You want to thread the cable threader through this cable gland, and make sure you thread it through the plastic grommet that you've just removed from the hole also. Once you've done that, you want to tape your 12 volt cable or whatever cable you're going to use for your lights at the rear doors onto the cable threader. Make sure you put plenty on there so it doesn't come apart once you pull it through. And once you've done that, you want to pull the cable through using the cable thread that you've just attached it to. And once you've got that through there, you can disconnect the cable threader and then your wire's in. This is where I ran the wiring. It comes through that cable gland there. Just drill a little hole in the side door there, a hole in the top, and then just out of that hole that was already there. And from the other side, it comes through there, up through this cavity here, through there, all the way up behind the pillar there, and behind all the way across the side of the van, and then down where the rest of the cables have ran to the 12 volt switchboard. So that's it for the electrics part 1. I'd like to give a thanks to Daz, my mate Daz, and me dad for the help and knowledge that they've inputted into this part of the build. I wouldn't have been able to do that without them. And it's the Christmas Eve here, so
Putty up.
Yeah, we'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and all the best for the new year.
If you want to check out the Instagram page, if you haven't already, it's no strive van life.
Chill man, no strive.
We post nearly every day, so if you want to follow the story, head over to Instagram and follow us.
Okay, thanks.
Merry Christmas!
Bye.